Winter. A time where it's cold outdoors, it's dark outdoors, and you get snow, if you're lucky. In general, it's a time where you're just staying inside, just staying warm. So today, I'm going to be talking about some travelling that I did during the winter. So, it was the 23rd of December 2023, Christmas Eve, if you will. And we start the travels off at Brent Cross West, which was new to open at the time, obviously not so much now. And well, for a new station, it did look quite clean and open, featuring some amazing artwork at the eastern entrance, which I thought was pretty neat. But one thing I did notice, it was very completely empty. But I mean, to be fair, it was 8 in the morning on a day quite close to Christmas, so maybe I just chose a good time to go there and have it be quiet. And if there's one thing I noticed for sure, is that I'm pretty sure it's the first station to have full modern Thameslink signage, although feel free to correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. I didn't spend much time here, as I shortly then got on a train all the way down to Wimbledon to do a bit of train spotting. You might have seen that video already, but if you haven't, check the top right of the screen or whatever. But yeah, after that, I decided to hop onto a Croydon tram, which earlier I saw one in a livery that said Love Croydon. That's pretty cool, isn't it? So anyway, let's play a fun little game. Where did Pingu go to on the tram? Was it A, Mitcham, B, Croydon, C, New Addington, or D, Beckenham Junction? And the correct answer is Croydon. That's right, I willingly went to Croydon just to look around pretty much, and that's exactly what I did. Although I will say it was somewhat interesting to just casually see an ambulance at the West Croydon bus station. So, satisfied with my little walk around Croydon, I then made my way towards East Croydon station to get another tram to Elmer's End. I mean, I must say, it is a quiet little station, and well, I mean, it might seem a bit silly to bring SER into this, but I have a strong feeling that if they were to upgrade Whitney Green, I feel like this station would be the basis that they go off of. I mean, look at it, it even has tramlink signs. So, as part of this whole little trip, I did a bit of planning, and I found out that Southeastern sometimes puts Class 707s on lines like this one. And I calculated my arrival with a train that was said to be 10 coaches long, so surely I would have gotten a double 707, right?
Wrong!
Well, Southeastern was like, nuh-uh, screw you, and gave me a couple of 376s instead. And oh boy, just look at it, it's just not that great on the outside. Although I will say that on the inside they're pretty much alright, it's just a standard Electrostar interior really. And besides, I was only on them for a few minutes anyway, so the disappointment was short-lived as I made my way to Catford. And yes, I did make a very short walk over to Catford Bridge just to get a 700, because I mean, it's close enough I suppose. I then made my way down to Shortlands, getting back into Southeastern's network and capturing some networkers passing through the station. And the best part is, I even managed to get on one. So, satisfied with the enjoyment of some classic rail trains, I made my way back to the Croydon tram network by heading to Beckenham Junction. And on the return towards Croydon, I had noticed this interestingly named stop of Avenue Road. This shorter tram trip didn't last long though, as I then got off at Sandylands to then get yet another tram, this time down into New Addington just to tick off all the Croydon tram terminus stops I suppose. So well, after that I basically did all the things I wanted to do in Croydon, so I headed back to East Croydon one last time to then get a Southern train to London Bridge. I guess I've already brought in SER into this already, so I guess you could say that it was the second SER station that I had visited to in the day, the first being East Croydon. And of course I got taunted by Southeastern again as I saw some 707s passing through, where interestingly the rear one had some kind of camera on it. But well, once again I got some more networkers towards my next destination as I took those networkers to Charing Cross. I did get quite a nice view of London's skyline as the evening approached, and of course you can't forget the obligatory mention of the Network Southeast clocks, although one of which seemed to be a bit broken. So it was at this point where I thought, no London trip is complete without going on the Underground. So I went on the Northern Line to Tottenham Court Road, and yeah, you can tell this footage really is old. That's literally an ad for Squid Game, and now we have Squid Game 2. Anyway, from there I decided to finish off the London adventure by taking the Elizabeth line towards Paddington. Not only to mark off the section of the Elizabeth line core that I had not yet travelled along, but also to see some Great Western IETs and Heathrow Express, I guess. I mean, they just happened to have a 387 there, so... Well, that would have been the end of the London shenanigans, but... At Farringdon, I saw something quite peculiar that I don't think I'd ever forget. There was a group of people with some kind of costumes, and one of them was a Heinz ketchup bottle, so yeah, that's it for the London travels as I headed back home after that. But wait, there's more! On the 2nd of January, after the new year, I decided to continue with the theme of seeing some newish stuff, as I headed up to the town of Bedford to see a Class 150 on the Marston Rail line. So, true British weather fashion, it was raining. Yeah, no surprise there, and totally not foreshadowing anything either. Anyway, I stepped foot onto the train just to be immediately greeted by northern seats. Quite interesting for someone like me who's only ever been in the south up to that point. And of course, it's arranged in a very lovely 3+2 seating arrangement. The weather did get a tiny bit worse as the train went along the Marston Vale line, but hey, I was safe and dry as I stayed on the train all the way to Bletchley, where, of course, I watched the train depart the station towards some sidings, I don't know. So, I'm at Bletchley, and I find myself having quite a bit of free time, I suppose, so what do? Yep, that's right, I walked to the centre of Milton Keynes, and, of course, the weather decided to punish me as, well, it started raining. A lot worse when I was halfway to the centre of this place, I suppose. But hey, the shopping centre was keeping me dry as I took a look around, taking note of what is totally the most subtle advertising ever, after which I headed to where I actually intended to go, that being the glorious Swedish furniture shop known as Ikea. So, what does one do at an Ikea? Well, I don't know, I guess it varies from person to person, but for me, it was quite funny to see how many product names I could just not understand or just generally find funny. So alright, let's take a look at some funny IKEA product names. Off to a good start with an Ektorp for £450, or maybe even a Hilltarp for £650, or maybe a Brawl is more of your kind of thing. Well, how about this one where I can barely see the whole name because of the awful contrast? Oh, how about a classic Poang? Gotta love those, am I right? How about an Arth Brawl, or maybe an Unsblovinge? No? Well, how about a literal dragon? Okay, should I stop taking the mick out of these IKEA product names? Okay, fine, I'll stop with this nonsense. But first, I have to show off the classic IKEA off-brand blue screen in this absolutely insane setup with a gaming PC, a Mac, a MacBook, some kind of fake generic RPG game I guess, a PlayStation controller, and a bunch of empty nondescript Xbox game cases. Anyway, I was surprised to see that IKEA has shortcuts. Like, I thought IKEA was just one of those shops that, like, it just had a massive maze and you would just get lost, but no. So, if you are actually wondering what I came to this IKEA for, I came to this IKEA to get a Blahaj. Like, I know it's pronounced
Blahaj,
but like, you're talking to an English person who sometimes can barely speak his own language, so please don't hate me, okay? Okay, well, I wasn't just there for that, as I was also there to get some of the iconic meatballs, and I must say they're pretty damn good. Oh, and apparently I had no idea about this until I got here, but apparently British IKEAs also do fish and chips, which is interesting to see from a Swedish furniture store. So, well, with the IKEA trip complete, it was time for me to head home, I guess, so I made my way back to Bletchley train station and find myself getting the exact same Class 150 as I did in the morning, and as I left I passed some Class 730s, got a couple pretty decent pictures of the sun slowly setting, and it turns out that they had amber weather warnings for both wind and rain, which both decided to kick in right as I got back to Bedford. There, I watched it depart on its last little bit of the journey back to Bedford, with the rain and wind absolutely blasting into my face And believe me, I had to try my best just to keep the Blahaj dry, and surprisingly, I managed to do quite a good job as it was still completely dry when I got home. So yeah, that was pretty much it for these winter travels, although I will say a week after the Ikea trip I decided to do another big trip, but instead up to the north. But I'll leave that for another video, and with that I'll say goodbye and I'll see you in the next one. Oh, and by the way, here's proof I actually got to the Blahaj for those of you wondering. But first, I'd like to thank these Pingu peeps for supporting the channel. You can support the channel too for £1.99 a month. It's completely optional though, of course.